one of the most underestimated aspects of the Christian life is the body of Christ. Because I don't know about you, but I want to be the one that writes the check and drops off the dinner and takes you to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this noisy voice in my head that says, don't be a burden, suck it up, buttercup. And we don't want to go there. But if we don't go there, the only voice in your head is your own and the enemy's. And it's just so important that when you are under it, that you lean in and ask for help and are willing to receive help, because that's the intention that God had for us.
Hey, friend, I hope you're having a fantastic day today. It's a beautiful summer day here in central Michigan. We've had rain for probably 24 hours, and there's something about a summer rain, don't you think? I love the sunshine. I love the heat, but wow, rain can be really refreshing. And that's what I feel like this conversation is. We are so excited to have with us today Robyn Dykstra. She is a sought-after national speaker, and she's a best-selling author. If you've experienced loss or trial in your life, whether it's self-induced or whether it's thrust upon you, you'll want to stay tuned to hear Robyn's encouraging discoveries to energize your faith in God and find the strength to face life's challenges. When she's not on the platform, she's teaching other aspiring speakers how to share their story and teach the Bible. I know you're going to love her. I have known Robyn for probably 2 years now, 3 years, and I have heard her story many times, but every time I hear it, I learn something new. She has a way of uncovering things in your life that you didn't even know were there, and she does it in such a loving way. She's such a great representative of Jesus when she speaks, whether she's on the stage or whether she's talking to you one-on-one. So you are in for a treat. And I can't wait for you to meet her. On to her story. Does God seem hateful to you, like he's looking for ways to trip you up? Does the thought of opening his word seem daunting and intimidating? Hi, I'm Anna, your host for God's Power Stories, where we connect with God's love through the power of his stories. I believe that God loves us more than we can comprehend, and we experience that love through stories. If you're here to connect through stories about the power of God, with the wind of the Holy Spirit at your back, you're in the right place. Let's let God light our path so we can take that next step toward the fullness of life he has planned for us. Grab your cup of coffee, that Diet Coke, or flavored water. Breathe. Let's dig in to God's Power Stories. So I have a great guest with me today, Robyn Dykstra. Robyn and I worked together for about a year, and so I got to see her all the time and learn so much from her and have so many laughs with her. But it's been a little while since we've gotten a chance to sit down together. So Robyn, how have you been?
I am great. I like to say I'm always good, and today's not an exception, but that doesn't mean I don't have bad days. It just means I choose joy.
Yes, absolutely true. And I learned that when I read your book, The Widow Wore Pink. I actually had gotten it on a Kindle download,
Yeah.
and then I ended up getting a physical copy as well and just poured through it because you are not one who has not had strife in your life. You have had
Yeah.
strife in your life, and God met you there. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, I was raised by these beautiful people. I call them the nicest heathens you've ever met in your life. You know, we were moral and we were responsible, but we really weren't spiritual people. My folks were real smart and healthy and resourceful, and we didn't have any calamities. So we didn't really need a God, didn't know God. And it really wasn't until I was an adult that he kind of slammed into me. All that to say, I was a get it done kind of girl. I've always been hopelessly optimistic and buoyant, but man, I made some huge mistakes. And like most people, we take a detour because we think we're smarter or the rules don't apply to us or whatever. So for me, I was a Playboy bunny for a long time. And I did all the things that pretty girls like me do to feel as good on the inside as we look on the outside. And it didn't work. The drinking and the drugging and the dating, it just didn't satisfy.
Can I stop you just for a second, Robin?
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people in life don't grow up thinking, when I grew up, I want to be a Playboy bunny. So, how did you even get into that type of a role?
Yeah, I tried college. I tried the traditional route. I did the thing that my mom's a PhD. I mean, education is important in our family, and I just didn't like school. I just thought it was a waste of my time. So I did the perfunctory 1 year that was required of me, and then I started looking for a job, and I found this ad in the newspaper that said Playboy bunnies wanted, no experience necessary. And I thought that's perfect. I'm adorable and don't know how to do anything. So I applied and I got the job. Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Ah, thanks. I don't know how to take that, but yeah, I'll take that as, oh, you're so cute. Yeah. At that time, there were dozens of Playboy clubs around the world, and the closest one to me was a big property, 5 restaurants, 2 golf courses, a ski hill, a landing strip, and so there were a lot of women there. There were a lot of us. It wasn't a small club, and the messaging that you get as a bunny is you might have been something special back home, but right now you are no more important to us than a golf cart or a table setting. It really undermined my belief that I was special. And God just kept reinforcing this, I have more for you. But I didn't know how to hear his voice. I didn't know who he was. And so I just kept doing the best I could with what I had in front of me. And then I met a Christian boy, and I do not recommend this, but he date evangelized me. Okay. We do not recommend that at all. But I think his intentions were pure. I was just like kryptonite for him. He just wanted to be with me. And he held a good line for us, but he just lived out Jesus so beautifully in front of me that I wanted that kind of life that he had, that confidence back, that belief that I was something special, and to be loved for who I was, not how I looked, to be loved for who I was and not what I did, to be loved for who I was and not how I performed or put out, and Hot and Hunky, that's what I call him, made that possible for me. So we dated for a long time, and finally he took me to a Christmas program, and that's when I got saved. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that that first yes to Jesus was the first of a gazillion yeses,
Yes.
but it was good enough. What I love about Jesus is that he takes you where you are, and he'll accept what you give him and then prove himself more and more faithful and trustworthy so that you have confidence to give him more and trust him with more and more. Because I've been walking this road with Jesus 30 years now, maybe more. And what I know is that I got it in my head that if I said yes to Jesus and cleaned up my act and followed the rules and was a good church girl, that nothing bad would happen to me. I thought, say yes and it's all rainbows and unicorns after that. And that is not the case. And I think we get confused, at least I got confused, that nothing bad will happen to you, that if anything bad happens to you, you're out of will, you're out of alignment with
Okay.
God, or that you're outside his will. And I am confident that is not the case. I
Mhm.
think without trials and upheavals in your life that you start thinking you are God. Without trials and upheavals in your life, you get pretty arrogant. You forget who he is and why you need him. How do you sand off those burrs or learn patience, compassion, kindness, generosity, unless you need to have those things yourself? So while I don't want those things, I pray all the time, God, only put in my life what is absolutely necessary for my spiritual growth and development. I want it to go well with me. But I know that also that things are going to come. And I love how God is always faithful. When I started going to church, I had tried everything else, of course. And so when I went to church, I landed in this little Bible study. These women did not know what to do with me. God bless them. They've got a huge jewel in their crown for taking me on. But when I started going to church, one of the foundation Bible verses that they taught me after John 3:16, which I did not know was a Bible verse, but one of the first verses that I learned was 1 Corinthians 10:13. And it says, and I don't know what version this is, but it was one I learned. No temptation or trial has seized you except which is common to man. But God is faithful. He will always be with you. He will always walk through you. So you'll either give you the strength to stand up under the thing, or he will give you the endurance to hold on while you're in it, or he will walk you out of it. And that is so precious to me because I'm not going through anything that other people haven't endured. And to know that God not only allowed this, but is with me in it and walking me forward through it for my good or for the good of someone else that I can help who might be going through it later. That gives me a lot of peace, you know?
I absolutely do know. I think it's so amazing about God how you can be going through something, somebody else that maybe you don't even know is going through something, 2 totally different things, and somehow your lives intersect, and somehow it's exactly what you needed, and it's exactly what that other person needed to
Right.
know more about God. I just think he's such a genius when it comes
Yeah,
to orchestrating and leading us. It blows my mind to think about that.
I agree. And I think that's why he says, go tell, Matthew 28:19, go tell what the Lord has taught you. Because I think when I came out of my life that was so naughty, I was so grateful for that redemption, that salvation, that restoration. But after a little while, I just wanted to put that behind me. I don't want to talk about that anymore. I just want to forget that ever happened. And so I did. I just kept it really tidy, squeaky clean, even when I was speaking on stages. And it wasn't until it just like I don't know if this ever happened to you, but you're in a conversation and God comes flying out of your mouth and you can't put him back fast enough. And I was on a stage and it just spilled out of my mouth that I had been a Playboy bunny and it was never too late for a fresh start with Jesus. And that was the mic drop moment. That's when people started saying, "Oh my gosh, if he took her, if he forgave that, then of course, maybe there's hope for me." And so that's why I think it's so important that no matter where you are one-on-one on a stage, because that's what I do. But wherever you are, that you continue to share these God moments, these places where he has intervened, rescued, healed, saved, so that watch what happens. You'll be saying something, well, I hate to admit it, but, and somebody across the table will say, that happened to me too. I was in a Bible study and my husband had told me never, ever, 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 hot and hunky, never, ever, ever tell anybody that you have been divorced or because I got married when I was a bunny and it was bad, or that you were a Playboy bunny. And so I kept that secret forever and ever. And I remember being in a small group Bible study, and there was a question that was asked, and I said something like, well, I'm divorced, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I'm safe and now I'm loved. And I looked up, and everybody was staring at me. It was just like, uh-oh, I have let the cat out of the bag. And I thought, that's it. Now they're going to kick me out. They're going to tell me I can't come back anymore. And there was this long silence that felt like an eternity. And then the lady across the table from me said, "Thank you for sharing that because my husband is having an affair and it looks like I'm headed for divorce. And I'm so relieved to hear that there might be hope beyond this catastrophe." And kaboom, just like that. You just don't know because we want to guard and protect and not look like the fool that we were. we want to be independent and strong. Like, I didn't need that to. But when we share who God is and what he's done in our lives, either one-on-one or small groups, not graph and not gross and stuff, not all the details, but just when we share what he's done, it's powerful how he uses it again and again and again. And I think one of the ancient languages, I don't know, I'm not an expert on that, but there's, I think, Hebrew or something. The word testimony is Aydooth, Aydooth, probably. I don't know. You have to look it up. But it means do it again. God, do it again like you did it before. And I believe that when we share our stories, it creates I don't know, the atmosphere or the mind belief or the circumstances for someone else to believe that he could do it again. Yeah.
I completely agree, and it goes right back to what we were talking about before as far as him orchestrating things
Yeah.
in such a way. I had heard you speak, it was a little more than a year ago now, and I had heard you speak many, many times, and I knew your story very, very well. But when you spoke, it would have been last summer, I felt so, like, hit right between the eyes of just exactly what you just said, as far as I had wanted to keep certain things in my life completely buttoned up. And to the point that, and I didn't even realize what an effect it had had on me. Like, I was in human resources for years. I was an HR professional. Well, who's going to question the integrity of an HR professional, right? And they're very good at keeping things confidential. So I could just keep my life completely buttoned up. I write biblical fiction. Again, who is going to think that someone who writes biblical fiction ever did anything wrong? And yet, I did. In fact, it was when I heard you speak that I thought, not only have I been trying to keep my past from everybody else, but I also had convinced myself that I could even hide it from God, which is so silly, but yet so freeing when in that moment when I thought about that not only does he know my past, but he loves me in spite of my past. And
Mhm.
he has a plan and a purpose for that past. And I love what you said about so many times in your life where the Lord just literally spoke through you. You couldn't even gather the words back. And he just spoke through you and spoke the truth. And then you were able to see how his name was glorified through it. And I think that's a lesson for all of us because it's really not about what I've done in the past. It's really not about what you've done in the past. It's about God and how God reached in and pulled you forward and loved you through it. And his name is able to be glorified because of what it is that you've gone through or I've gone through.
So true. Yeah, that's really good awareness, Anna, because I think a lot of women, they shut down the pieces that are ugly, which is a coping mechanism, I understand. But what really breaks my heart is women who think, that's what I did, so this is what I deserve. And instead of trying to crawl out of it or open up the opportunity for God to throw them a lifeline, they just stay in that pit. And instead of looking hopefully up, they're laying down carpet and putting up curtains, and they just get really comfortable in the pit thinking, this is all I can hope for because of what I've done. And that is such a lie from the enemy. That's what breaks my heart too.
Mhm. I wonder because you do so much speaking and you help other women learn how to speak and to tell their stories and all. I know that you had thought early on that if you were a good girl, as you put it, you did everything right. You attended church on Sunday night, Sunday morning, Wednesday night, did all the stuff, that nothing bad would ever happen to you. So you were able to, through the help of God, realize that there's still going to be times that you're going to have things happen to you that you would really rather that it didn't happen. But what you've learned is that God is with you through that. Can you think of other things that have come up in your speaking, maybe after your speech is done and you're talking one on one with someone? and they come out with other misconceptions that they've had about God that you've been able to, work through that with them.
Yeah, like the preconceived notion that you have to pay back what was already paid in full. That idea that you have to do penance, that you're just getting what you deserve. That's a big one. I love talking about you don't have to pay back what Jesus paid in full for you. I love that. And then the other one is a lot of women snot cry on my shoulder. And that's one of the best parts of my job. But they're just so relieved that somebody went first and said, look, this is the truth. So sometimes the truth is not nice, like it hurts feelings. It is a kindness. My job as a speaker is to help women let go of a lie that they've hung on to so that they can walk forward in more clarity or freedom or joy or peace. And
Mhm.
when women come up to me after an event, and I get more pushback online actually than in person, because I think that connection, that heart to heart connection happens so positively in person. But I just, when women say, you just told my story, I've been hiding this for years. No one knows. Women come up and say, I'm having an affair and I'm going to break it off. Or I have addictions that I've been hiding. Just so many things because we all have stuff, we all have coping mechanisms, and some of us are better at hiding them than others, and some of us are better at dealing with them. I guess to your question, what are the lies that they believe? It's funny that we just think, for me, it was, if I'm not pretty, I don't count. If I'm not all that in a bag of chips plus brownie, then I have no value. And I hear that from other women too. And I see that women in their 60s and 70s wearing mini dresses and pigtails. Come on. I just want them to be okay with who they are and believe that God is for them where they are.
Mhm.
It's really just, I think the big one is I thought it was too late. Or this is what I hear too is that I've been coming to church for 10 years, but it's just so that my kids can see Jesus because I know it's too late for me. So I think the theme that threads through everything is it's just, I thought it was too late. I thought he was angry. I thought that I'm just getting what I deserve. This is as good as it gets. I can't hope for anything more. And now I know that's not true.
Yes. And I know sometimes you speak with groups of women and sometimes you speak with groups of women and men. How do those two different events feel? Or do they feel exactly the same or do they feel different?
Oh, they feel the same to me, but they're received much differently. And I don't know if this is important, honestly, but when you talk to just women, they have the freedom to engage with me fully. Because when there's a man in the room, in a Christian audience, we all have learned to yield. And if they don't laugh, then I don't laugh. If they don't lean in, if they don't think it was good. When I talk to audiences that are mixed, it's a little bit different tone of voice. I think that if God gives you a gift, he doesn't care where you use it. But my sweet spot is talking to women only. And it's not that I don't like men, it's just that they are not often positioned to hear what I have to say for their own benefit. And I will say too that most of us in the US are calibrated to evaluate instead of apply. And there's no better place than that to be seen than a Sunday morning service. Did I like her? Was she good? Did I learn something? Oh, and it might be, I wish so and so had been here to hear this. But we tend not to take that attitude of how can I apply what she's telling me? And when I talk to women, I can get challenging with them and woo them to say, this is for you. So let's do interaction and tell me, tell me, what did you get out of this session? What are you taking home? Because it's important that you don't go home with the same it's important to me that you don't go home with the same garbage that you came here with. What has shifted? What lie are you letting go of? What behavior will you modify? What circumstances need changing? What is going to be different going out than when you came in? I don't want to stereotype, but my experience is that it's easier to do that when there's just women to women.
Mhm,
And that could be just the anointing that I get when I'm talking to women. I might freak out when I'm just talking to men. I don't know. Like, oh, I gotta come more. Or so it's, it might be as much in my head as it is culturally, but my experience is that it's better for me when I just talk to women and women over 40. Really?
mhm,
I don't talk to teenagers typically. I don't talk to, like, youth group kinds of things. I talk to women who have had enough time to make big messes and tell them it's never too late for a fresh start, and then ask them, "What are you gonna do with the rest of your life?"
mhm. I love how you're telling your story, you're inviting them into your story, you're looking at their story, and then challenging them with, "What are you going to do from here?"
Yeah, we're never done. If you look at Moses and you look at Noah, I see Jesus working right up until the cross, even on the cross, and we don't get to retire from this. And I don't mind if you sit at a pool in Florida with an umbrella drink, but where can we all continue to proclaim or go deeper? If we're not learning, how are we leading others? You know?
Mm, mhm.
Yeah, how can we lead others with what we are learning? That discipleship commission, that doesn't go away. I think we should always be learning from somebody smarter than us or further ahead than us, and then throwing it back to somebody who's not quite there where we were yet.
Yeah, and any place can be your mission field. It
For
can
sure.
be beside the pool. I am amazed at what God has done with God's power stories because when I first started it, I just thought, well, my sisters will listen for sure. But, the Lord is helping people from all different countries find
Yeah.
it. There's like 36 countries now that have
Wow.
listened to episodes on God's power stories, and we've just gotten started.
Yeah.
And, I just when I hear these messages, and even if it's me preparing something, I just feel the Lord chipping away things on
Yeah.
me that I didn't even know were there
Mm.
and that definitely won't be missed. In the long run, even if something's painful, I mean, if you think about something getting chipped off of you, it kind of gives you a painful insight. But at
Mhm.
the same time, once it's off, you're like, oh man, I
Yeah.
didn't need that anyway.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
I love that. I think we all need to figure out how to reframe or rewrite the stories that keep us small, that keep us fragile. And there is a time and place. I mean, I know I've been in spots where I just had to lean in. I was widowed when I was 40. My kids were 7 and 4, and I was the first one in my, like, I wasn't gray yet, and this is not the way it's supposed to be, and what happened here? And I had no filter for what was coming. I had no idea how bad it was gonna be, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't. And I had a group of women in my church, my small group, my Bible study girls, and man, they swarmed me like flies on a honey. And they just took care of me when I couldn't take care of myself. And I have never since then had the mountaintop experience with God that I had in that trial because there was no place else to go. Nobody could fix it. It wasn't like Hot and Hunky was coming back from the dead. It's not like your dog dies and you go get a new puppy. There's just no fixing it. When we're at our weakest, isn't God so good that he would not only just douse me with his comfort and his peace and his presence, but that he would mobilize people around me to pray and to take my kids to the circus and to invite me over to carve pumpkins so that, just some relief and some respite so that I could feel like I wasn't alone in it. It was just the most glorious thing. But there, I don't mean to say it's all good with Jesus. it is and it isn't. One of the most underestimated aspects of the Christian life is the body of Christ. Because I don't know about you, but I want to be the one that writes the check and drops off the dinner and takes you to the doctor.
Mhm.
And there is this noisy voice in my head that says, don't be a burden, suck it up, buttercup. And we don't want to go there. But if we don't go there, the only voice in your head is your own and the enemy's. And it's just so important that when you are under it, that you lean in and ask for help and are willing to receive help, because that's the intention that God had for us.
Very good. I'm just thinking about these ladies who you had talked about, it's too late for me and I do it for other people, but God can't really reach me. I've been too far away from his will for my life, that type of thing. Speak to that woman right now. Speak truth
Yeah.
into her right now. Help her to find that encouragement that she needs.
Yeah. You said it earlier. It's like we try to hide from God, and he already knows. Like when you owe somebody a debt, you're not going to go out of your way to cross paths with them. If you have a fight with your husband or your mom or your sister, you're not going out of your way to be with them. And it creates that chasm. And when we feel like we've blown it, it creates that chasm because we're embarrassed or ashamed, and we feel like we've let God down, or that, it's done now. Can't undo that. I can't rewind that. And the stories pervasive through the Bible are that he is waiting on the edge of his seat to hear from you, especially the one, Luke something, where the prodigal son.
Mhm.
And that's just such a good, perfect illustration of how God waits for you. Everybody says God's such a gentleman. I'm like, yes. But he's very proactive. If you're paying attention, even when you're holding him at arm's distance, people will mention him in front of you. You'll drive by a church and the signage on the outside will say something that speaks right to your heart. You'll be tuning in to find some Metallica headbanging music, and there will be something that comes through the radio that is tender and like, I will always love you, kind of a song, not even a Christian song, but God is continually wooing you back. You just open your eyes and accept the possibility that it's not too late and watch how he shows up in the smallest of things so that you feel safe to come back to him. Never
Love
too
it.
late for a fresh start.
I
Never too late.
agree. I agree, Robin.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for your time today. It was so great catching up with you again. And
my pleasure. It's always good to see you. You're such a rock star. I love being with you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick. If this episode blessed you in some way, I'd love it if you leave a written review for the show over on Apple Podcasts. These are like gold to me. Reviews help me know what you enjoy while providing insight on what you want to learn about. Also, take a screenshot of your review or this episode so that you can share it on your Facebook or Instagram stories. For Facebook, tag me at Anna Moore Bradfield Author. For Instagram, use Anna Moore Bradfield. When I share you back in my stories, both our lights will shine a little brighter. May you witness God's power in your life today